get the Canada Day showdown 30-17 as we send you to Calgary.
Thank you, Rod, and welcome to McMahon Stadium. Happy Canada Day as we present the Grey Cup rematch between the Montreal Alouettes and the Calgary Stampeders. Opening drive of the game, Glenn Suter, and Montreal out of the gate looking sharp with 2 quick first downs and very close to a third on an end around to Larry Taylor.
Yeah, it's almost like the Montreal Alouettes remember what happened 6.5 months ago and came out here with a little intensity because they have a good offensive series going right out of the gate. Of course, the showdown again between the 2 finalists at quarterback and 2 second-year head coaches in Mark Trestman and the Montreal Alouettes, and of course John Hufnagel, the Calgary Stampeders.
Mark Trestman looking for his first win ever over Calgary, and all the hype, of course, about these 2 teams meeting at the end of November. There's the coach of the year, John Hufnagel, who prevailed at Olympic Stadium in Montreal, but both coaches made it quite clear that that's ancient history now. So second and inches, Brian Bratton had a 20-yard reception, an 11-yard run by Avon Coburn, close to 10 for Larry Taylor, and Adrian McPherson, the backup to Anthony Calvillo, will sneak for the 3rd Montreal first down of this opening drive in 2009. And the quarterbacks are brought to you by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's.
Well, when these 2 quarterbacks go at each other, there are fireworks. 5,000 yards for both of them. The first time Henry Burris has done it in his career. Of course, those were the 2 finalists for the outstanding player in the Canadian Football League last year. Anthony Calvillo won the award.
So the Owls have often been quick starters, and they're out of the gate sharply here. First down, and AC looking for Kerry Watkins. A one-handed touchdown grab. Spectacular catch by Watkins as the Alouettes strike first.
Tremendous intensity from the offense of the Montreal Alouettes to start this football game. They moved it methodically down the field, used a lot of motion, and nothing fancy about the way they find the end zone. That's a straight go route to Kerry Watkins down the sideline. A perfect pass and an even better catch at the other end.
So Kerry Watkins with 10 touchdown catches a year ago opens the scoring for the Alouettes in 2009. And now Dalen Duval on with Ben Cahoon, the holder. Owls opening drive touchdown here in Calgary. Team in the CFL a year ago took under 3 minutes to score first in 2009.
Kerry Watkins gets things going, the veteran of 6 years with the Montreal Alouettes, and 4 straight 1,000-yard season in 2008. Gets off to a fast start here tonight.
Duval with the boot, and Demetrius Summers with the return for the Stampeders, and he'll be brought down at the 20-yard line. Good downfield cover.
Well, a couple reasons we thought there might be some points put on the scoreboard in this game between these 2 teams because of the quarterback play, of course, with Anthony Calvillo and Henry Burris, the receiving cores on both teams, and the fact that there's some young guys in the secondary. And here, Kerry Watkins gets a one-on-one on Ronnie Amati, new halfback for the Calgary Stampeders in his very first game in the Canadian Football League. And what a catch by Watkins.
So we see what the most outstanding player of last year's regular season did on his first series. Let's find out what the top player in the Grey Cup game does in response. Oh, and a fumble out of a Wildcat, and Demetrius Summers has to eat the football inside the 10 with penalty markers on the play.
Well, new rule in the Canadian Football League passed this year is that the Wildcat formation from the National Football League will be legal in the CFL. In other words, the quarterback does not have to line up behind center.
There's no infraction on the play. It's second down.
Henry Burris is right on the outside here, so this is the new rule. Henry Burris does not have to be in a position to take the snap, according to this new rule, and maybe he should be.
It may be an innovation that Calgary passes on after that initial play. A 13-yard loss. And 2nd and long from inside the 10. 4 receivers to one side. Short drop Burris, and he'll take off. Ran well against the Alouettes, but Shea Emery, the rookie middle linebacker out of Richmond, BC, with a tackle. And we'll be watching Emery in his debut as a starter here tonight.
Sure will. The Alouettes went in a different direction at linebacker with Shea Emery in the middle. And Shea Emery, the Canadian from UBC, gets his first start at middle linebacker for Reggie Hunt, who was released. They also got rid of TJ Hill. And, you know, he said yesterday when we talked to him that he was real nervous about this football game. That's how you get the butterflies out of there. You make a big play early on.
You mentioned new rules. Another is about what happens if a safety is conceded. Last year, Calgary might give up a safety here. Let's see if they do it with Burkdale's in the punt. He'll kick it away. And Larry Taylor has it at the Calgary 49. Penalty marker down. Taylor brought down. Dwayne Carpenter, one of the captains, downfield first, but there is a marker on the play.
Calgary Stampeders influenced by the rule changes out of the gate in this game. They show you the Wildcat formation in their first series.
Holding. Montreal 52 while the ball is in flight. 10-yard penalty becomes first down.
That's the rookie Ramon Guzman called, but it will be Montreal football when we come back to McMahon. The starting lineups are brought to you by Nissan, fan and proud sponsor of the CFL.
In his 16th season, Anthony Calvillo played quarterback. Avon Colburn in the backfield. There's the receiving core, same receiving core that started the Grey Cup game, as well as the offensive line with Brian Chu, 13-year veteran at center.
Offense led in points, yards, and best in protecting Anthony Calvillo as Colburn slashes off the right side and gets close to midfield and has 4.
The Stampeders on defense will go with 7 starters from last year. Kashama, a newcomer, and Brown in the middle. That's Justin Brown. And Trey Blackman starts at middle linebacker for Juwan Armour. More on that in a moment. And there's the secondary with new halfbacks, Ronnie Amati and Devonzo Tate.
2nd and 6. Out of the gun, and Calvillo has been Cahoon. It's a first down, and he'll be brought down by Ronnie Amati as the old combination is in good form early in 2009.
You can see that Anthony Calvillo is going after some of the changes in the newcomers in the Calgary lineup, and I'm not surprised to see that, as Ronnie Amati, number 40 for the Calgary Stampeders at halfback in his first game in the CFL, is seeing a lot of footballs thrown his way. That's another one. The first one was Kerry Watkins, and he scored a touchdown.
99th game for Ben Cahoon, or 99th catch in 20 games against Calgary. Here's Coburn, a big first down run, another first down for the Alouettes, as they've got it going both on the ground and in the air here in the first quarter.
At one point last year, right around mid-season, Avon Colburn was on pace for 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. He would have been the first player in CFL history to do it. And you ask him about that now, he says that's not the focus. Focus to get on track early. I like the intensity from Montreal early in this game, Chris.
Looks like they're out to make an early statement. Coburn played just 12 games last year, still finished 3rd in CFL rushing. And here's a quick hitter. They get the ball into the hands of Taylor again. And he has another first down to the 10. He was so impressive on special teams last year. They wanted to incorporate him in the offense, and that's twice he's handled the ball here in this opening quarter.
Well, yeah, when you have a guy that returns punts for you on your football team at around 12.3, which is where Larry Taylor was last year on average, you can work him into the offense and expect some big plays out of him. That's not a surprise at all to see Mark Trestman work Larry Taylor in there in special situations.
Ball just outside the 10, so it is 1st and 10. And again, Coburn right side, and he will score. Touchdown, Montreal! And like Toronto, the road team off to a hot start here at McMahon.
Usually, Chris, coming out of the preseason, offenses are behind defenses. Just the timing that's necessary offensively. But with these two teams, their offenses are their veteran units. And boy, do the Montreal Alouettes on offense look smooth and in sync early on in this season. I mean, that's two tremendous drives led by Calvillo.
Avon Coburn, who scored a touchdown for the Alouettes in the Grey Cup game, beat Devonzo Tate to the corner. Midway through this first quarter, Duval the extra point, and it's a 14-0 lead at a shock McMahon. Well, a 5-play, 60-yard touchdown drive.
Good mix in the drive as well. Some running plays along the ground with Avon Coburn carrying the rock, and then the quick passing game, something Mark Trestman is very comfortable with, likes to get the ball out of Calvillo's hands, and they finish it off with a nice run by Avon Coburn.
So here in a half a quarter, Avon Coburn has scored. The Alouettes have run 10 plays, 141 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the revamped or enhanced Mark Trestman playbook is looking more lethal than ever.
They added a couple more chapters.
This kickoff going out through the side as Demetrius Summers did not play it. And so Calgary will go back to work, and Henry Burris has his work cut out for him. Yesterday, John Hupnagel was talking about how his team was in every game for 60 minutes last year, but for Labor Day. And they've got their work cut out for them to catch up here.
Finished 13-5, won the West. Henry Burris at quarterback. Joffrey Reynolds, the mainstay at running back, 6th season in the CFL. There's that receiving core. One change there. The leader last year, Kenyon Rambo, has a tender hamstring, did not dress tonight. And there's the offensive line with 2 changes up front.
2 starters out with injury. Jeff Pilon. Jesse Newman not starting, but is dressed. And here's the leading rusher in the CFL last year. And he is met before he gets to the 30-yard line as the Montreal defense stops him for a 5-yard gain.
There is the Montreal defensive line, an underrated group from last year. A lot of people talked about the defensive line in BC, not so much for Montreal, who finished 2nd behind Lions in the overall sack totals. Chip Cox moves down from the secondary to the linebacking core, and there's 2 new halfbacks here for the Montreal Alouettes, Billy Parker, Gerald Brown.
Same story as Calgary's defense, new middle linebacker, 2 new DBs, and on 2nd down, the pass for Nick Lewis incomplete, and there's Chip Cox, the new Sam linebacker, in his hip pocket.
I mentioned the Alouettes made 2 big changes that made waves through the league. TJ Hill was released, and Chip Cox moves from halfback, where he played last year in the secondary, down to that linebacker. Now, really, it is primarily a cover position anyway. He's covering the 5th receiver on offenses, so he's familiar with that. He was on coverage on Nick Lewis. Shea Emery is the other guy who replaces Reggie Hunt in the middle, and on this punt, he'll take a breather.
Talked to Shea Emery yesterday, admitted he was a bit nervous, but the butterflies, I'm sure, are gone now after handing Calgary a pair of 2 and outs to start.
Time count violation. Calgary, number 16. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
So it has been a shaky first quarter.
Well, you know what the concern is when a team wins the championship, is their first game back. Will there be complacency? It would be a little hangover from the championship. John Hufnagel said that he wasn't concerned, that the team was focused through camp mentally.
Larry Taylor waits. Brooke Dale's the punt. Taylor from his 41, Brandon Browner was first man down, but Taylor cuts it outside and then steps out at the Stamp bench. A 44-yard punt, 2 on the return. So the Alouettes will get the ball for the 3rd time in this first quarter, working against a revamped Stamp defense.
Here are your changes. We talked about Juwan Armour. Trey Blackman plays middle linebacker, an accelerated pace to get him in the lineup with the 2 halfbacks, Ronnie Amani and Devonzo Tate. There's Titus Ryan at receiver for Kenyon Rambo. So there are the changes for the Calgary Stampeders from a year ago.
On the 42, Calvillo gets it away. And it's a completion down the right sideline as Kerry Carter, the fullback.
And you could see that the changes for Calgary Stampeders primarily were on the defensive side of the ball, especially right down the middle with Justin Brown up front, Trey Blackman, and then those two halfbacks, and you're seeing Ronnie Amati right there, who's already been tested. You know, this is a big adjustment for players who have played in the United States, whether it be Arena League or National Football League. That 20-second clock, the speed of the game, and the size of the field.
18 for the fullback Carter on the latest reception. And Carter, and this time stuffed right at the 50-yard line.
I asked John Hufnagel about his middle linebacker position with Juwan Armour going out, and basically what happened was Juwan Armour had made the team and would have started if not for disciplinary reasons. During training camp, there was a couple of incidents where John Hufnagel warned Juwan Armour to practice with more respect for his teammates. He reminded the entire defense to do that. He didn't. He had to release him because of it, and bang, Trey Blackman finds himself starting.
2nd and 10. Calvillo stepped up and takes off. Tristan Black's got him at the 40-yard line. And it will be close to another Alouette first down.
Anthony Calvillo looks very sharp to start this season and this football game. And he is in probably the best shape of his career in a long, long time. He changed his diet. Yeah, he changed his diet. He has a new training program. And he found out basically he's lactose intolerant and changed his diet completely, lost 10 pounds, gained a few pounds of good weight, and said he feels faster and quicker than he has in a long, long time. We may see him run the ball more this year.
3rd and a yard. Calvillo to the sidelines, and the field goal unit comes on. They will not gamble on 3rd and 1. They'll try to enhance this lead. Off the toe, Damon Duval. 83% efficient a year ago. From 49 yards out. And Duval tucks it in. And it's 17-0 Alouettes here with just under 4.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Let's join Jermaine Franklin on the sidelines.
Thanks, Chris. Throughout his career, Henry Burris has always been knocked for not being able to win the big game. It's hard to believe that he's already in his 11th CFL season. No matter how well he played in those situations, the responsibility always fell square on his shoulders. That is until last year. Consistency was the name of Burris's game. He had 39 touchdown passes, not to mention he won the biggest game you can win in this league. Burris says now that he has a taste of what it means to win the Grey Cup and how it feels to win the Grey Cup as a starter, he's determined to validate it with a second championship.
On that Grey Cup game, the Stampeders trailed. They trailed double digits in the Western Final and came back. And now they find themselves down by 17.
The best season of Henry Burris's career, no question. And the stat that I think jumps off the page for me was against teams with winning records, he was 10-3. He played big in the big games.
Getting a 3rd example of rule changes here in the first quarter. The team must kick off after a field goal. There is no option to scrimmage at the 35. The fans had their say in some pretty good rule changes. I think we're going to add to an already entertaining product. Here's Summers, and he is met. Downfield, quick coverage as the Alouettes are swarming early. Doug Goldsby, a rookie on special teams. First man down, a rookie out of UBC. We do have a marker on the play.
It's like it's going against the Calgary Stampeders. They'll go half the distance. Henry Burris has to try and get this offense started.
Objectionable conduct. Calgary, number 32. It's a 10-yard penalty, and it's first down.
So that's against Demetrius Summers. And the Stamps are in a hole yet again.
Henry Burris with 328 yards passing in the Grey Cup Championship, and maybe the biggest stat in that game, and one that was not talked about a lot, but I thought was a key, was that 79 yards rushing. I don't think Anthony Calvillo had any yards rushing in the Grey Cup Championship. Makes a big difference when your quarterback can break down the defense with his legs.
Also had 10 carries for 93 yards in Montreal early in the season. Here's Reynolds with a nifty stutter step, to push the pile. Anwar Stewart finally brings him down after a gain of 6.
Yeah, and rather than a big play, what can just get you going offensively, it looks like what Calgary's trying to do is to establish a run, get some balance back in their offense, and just get a drive together, because I'm sure this is shocking a lot of people, this quick start by the Montreal Alouettes.
George Cortez, the architect, who has worked with Burris now for the past 3 years. 2nd and 4. And again, it's Reynolds straight ahead. And not sure he got there.
Well, he got a little second effort out of there, so he may have got close. And I don't mean it's a surprise, Chris, that the Alouettes came out with the intensity they have. More that Calgary hasn't answered. I mean, they just look like they're sort of sleepwalking in this first quarter.
Rain starting to fall here at McMahon.
John Hufnagel said he addressed the complacency issue in the very first meeting in training camp. And he said he didn't want to talk about it again, because if he keeps talking about it, that will be on the minds of the players. Well, you can see with the yardage totals between Montreal and Calgary in this first quarter, there's no answer so far from the Stampeders, Grey Cup champs.
And we did not see this kind of game, at least the early stages of a game where Calgary's dominated all last year, with the possible exception of Labor Day, when Henry Burris left the game in the first quarter. So this early, less than a yard to go from inside their own 20, Stamps are going to go for it. A yard, a little desperation down by 17. Burris plunging. And it's a real dogfight down there as he's pushed back. What's the forward progress against the teeth of that Montreal defense?
Well, two things here. One is it is forward progress. He got pushed back, but it looked to me like the progress got him over that first down marker. The other thing is this is a challengeable play, even though it's not at the goal line. On third down, you can challenge to see the spot, although it's awful difficult to see a spot in all those bodies.
And he did get it by the length of a football. That's the initial first down in 2009 for John Hufnagel Stampeders.
Look at that stat. 9 first downs to 1.
Hufnagel designed T-shirts with a target on the back for early in training camp, and they've been in the crosshairs here in the first quarter. Reynolds off the right side, nothing doing. Anwar Stewart, the former Stamp, closing it down with plenty of help from his friends.
Well, statistically, Anwar Stewart didn't jump off the page in 08, but he has always been a leader in that defense. 44 career sacks. He makes a big play when you need him. One of the things that I noticed in his statistics, which is, you got to say, the leader for defensive linemen in the Canadian Football League is 8 interceptions in his career. Not many defensive linemen have 8 interceptions.
A couple of those coming against his old team. Loss of 3, 2nd and 13, and early movement as Antonio Hall, replacing Jeff Pilon at right tackle, came out of his stance too quickly, and Eric Wilson stirring things up.
Well, there's clearly an edge to this Montreal Alouette football team. I mean, they came out with some intensity. You know, the one thing that they didn't finish the season the way they wanted to, they got to where they wanted to.
Legal procedure. Calgary, number 58. 5-yard penalty, and remains second down.
The other thing is, Chris, I think you touched on it earlier, is that the Montreal Alouettes did not win a game in the West. That was the one thing that Mark Trestman, I'm sure, has talked to his team about. They travel out west. They've got to come up with a bigger effort. They certainly have a great start going here.
0-3 against Calgary. 0-4 in the road games against Western opposition. They start their schedule of 4 games in the first 5 weeks against the West. And the West better be ready. Here's Reynolds with the swing pass, and he'll pushed out by Chip Cox. Again, the new Sam linebacker, strong side backer for the Alouettes, who holds Joffrey Reynolds short of a first down.
It's a good move, I think, to move Chip Cox to linebacker because he was struggling slightly in his man-to-man coverage in the secondary. But the upside for him was that he led the team in tackles. He had 68 defensively, 84 altogether. So if he's tackling that much, why not move him down closer to the line of scrimmage? And then he can still cover from down there. So it's a good move to move Chip Cox into linebacker.
Third time Larry Taylor has dropped back to accept a punt, standing on the Calgary side of the 45-yard line of Montreal. So great field position again, but he lost the handle. Did he get back on it? Slippery pigskin and a battle for that football after the 44-yard Dale's punt. Looks like Taylor's on it, but he's still wrestling down there. Randy Chevrier tried to pull it loose.
Brandon Browner was down there. You can see him in the middle of your screen. He almost gets a chance. Dwayne Carpenter over the top, and then you're right, Randy Chevrier, but Taylor hangs on.
Still in the first quarter.
You notice that, though, that the Calgary Stampeders have punted twice, and that new rule is in effect and is affecting the teams early on in this season, because I can guarantee you they would have given up safeties probably in both instances there.
That's the Suter rule, by the way.
I don't know about that, but
first and 10. Calvillo looked one way, throws the other. That's Coburn. And Avon Coburn trying to crawl his way to midfield and has 8. What a double threat he is. As Glenn mentioned, on pace last year until an injury took him out for the last 6 games for 1,000 and 1,000. He has talked about doing that this year, but more importantly, the focus on the Montreal sideline is getting that silverware back from Calgary.
Mark Trestman has added a bunch of pages to this playbook.
It's volume 2.
Oh, boy.
Second and 2. And it is Coburn left side, trying to get outside, straight arm, and there's the rookie middle linebacker, Trey Blackman, out of Auburn.
You know, Mark Trestman has added pages, and Calvillo mentioned that to us yesterday when he said that he studied more in this camp. A lot of misdirection from this offense all of a sudden. Look at one player going this way, Avon Coburn going the opposite way. And this is a lot more misdirection than we saw from the Montreal offense a year ago. So when you've got all that kind of motion going on, especially right in front of the quarterback, it has to be timed perfectly. That's why this offense had to study big time in training camp. I mean, when a 16-year veteran quarterback says he studied more this year than any, you know there was pages added.
Said he spent a lot of time every night digesting the playbook. When you talk to a great offensive player like Ben Cahoon about how enthralled he is with the offense, Scott Milanovich, quarterback coach and
really
offensive
OC,
coordinator.
yeah, offensive coordinator. And Chris, that's the advantage of continuity and the advantage of coming back to the same coaching staff, the same system, and the same players. And that's what this offense has done.
And you know, it is an advantage Calgary has as well, even though we haven't seen it in this first quarter. So it's 3rd and 1.
Hang on.
And again, Adrian McPherson.
Hang on.
The good-looking sophomore quarterback in on these short yardage situations. Calgary looking for a stop. McPherson pushing behind Brian Chu and Scott Flory, and he'll move the chains with plenty to spare.
And Adrian McPherson had a very good training camp, and as good a shape as Anthony Calvillo's in this year, it looks like he's going to go year to year. No reason why he can't play a couple more, but at some point, you've got to think that the Montreal Alouettes will want to work in Adrian McPherson a little bit, and just to get him some reps under game action for eventually when Anthony Calvillo decides that's a career. But that may not be for a couple of years.
Unnecessary roughness. Montreal number 6. First down was gained. It's 1st and 10, Montreal.
So Coburn flagged after the first down was gained. You see Mark Trestman's reaction to that, and The penalty takes it right back to the Alouette 45.
There's Coburn, gets up, little headbutt on Dwight Anderson.
So it is a fresh set of downs, but back on the Alouette side of half. Fake to Coburn, they swing it. And it is Brian Bratton with his second catch and a 10-yard gain.
I'm going to show you exactly what happens here again, and the misdirection I'm talking about, and the addition and the growth of this playbook. Watch right here as Coburn is going to go in the opposite direction. He's going to head this way, and Bratton comes back the opposite way from the left side of your screen. So there's the fake to Coburn going one way, and here comes Bratton coming out the other way. And for a young secondary in their first game in Ronnie Amati and Devonzo Tate, boy, it's tough to track those offensive receivers all over the field.
Shannon James had to come a long way to make that tackle. First down midfield, final play, first quarter, barring a penalty. And Cavill with time, and Ben Cahoon with another catch. So an impressive first quarter. Anthony Calvillo on fire. A perfect 8 for 8 in the opening quarter here in Calgary. Stats brought to you by Tim Hortons, always fresh, always.
Well, two teams that we thought would come out and we would see a shootout. Well, we've seen that from the Montreal Alouettes, 11 first downs in that first quarter, but no answer as of yet from the Calgary offense. They should be better with the lineup that they put on the field.
Speaking of better, you do have the better tie tonight, so I've got to respond with something, but happy Canada Day wherever you're watching tonight.
Yes, happy birthday, Canada, especially a special happy birthday on Canada Day to the armed forces around the world, serving our country overseas. A special hello to you guys.
What a great celebration here in Calgary today. It was at Princess Island Park for a terrific afternoon. Thousands there, but it has not been a celebration here in Calgary tonight so far. And here's Avon Coburn chewing up 4 yards inside the 40. And he drives to the 35-yard line. And the Alouettes are making a loud statement so far.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders defensively with their young players are trying to figure out all this misdirection. See Avon Coburn again. This time he's going one way and then cuts back against the flow. So right when they think they've got the angles to which way Avon Coburn's going to go, he's cutting back against the flow. So Calgary Stampeders, Chris Jones have to figure this out at halftime.
Another first down. And this time Coburn leveled in the backfield. An enormous hit. And Blackman in on the tackle. Tristan Black, the other new linebacker, lost his helmet, but Jim Barker mentioned yesterday he thought his coach at Auburn said he may be the most explosive player in the box he'd ever coached. We get an indication of it here.
And this is what those young legs, now this is the upside of a new player. And young, aggressive rookie in the Canadian Football League steps right up, feels like a middle linebacker should, and puts a big hit on Coburn.
Loss of 2, second and 12. Calvillo quick hit it to Jamel Richardson, first catch. And he'll be forced out at the 30-yard line. Devonzo Tate was there, and he will be short of the first down.
That's what you hope you get out of the young players. I mean, you lose the experience, but you hope you get that enthusiasm. Get them flying all over the football field, and maybe that Trey Blackman hit will be the one that can ignite the Calgary team, not just their defense, but the entire team, because they need a spark.
So Derval on to attempt his second field goal. He is hit from 49. And this from 31 yards out. Check 36, and it is through. 20-0. Alouettes add to their lead. Back at McMahon Stadium, let's join Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Chris. Here with me is Clara Hughes. only Canadian to win a medal in both the Summer and Winter Olympics, and also Becky Scott, the owner of a gold and silver medal cross-country skiing. But you're here for Right to Play. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We're here because Right to Play is here tonight. And Right to Play is an international humanitarian organization that uses sport and play to develop life skills, improve health, and foster peace for children in their communities in the most disadvantaged areas of the world. So we're supported by over 400 athletes worldwide, including some of the Calgary Stampeders, which is why we're here tonight.
That's an amazing cause, and Claire, obviously 2010 just around the corner. How excited are you to perform in your own home country? Thanks, Claire, and that's a great segue. This crowd obviously going wild for a reason, guys.
Yes, Titus Ryan, the rookie, just went for gold, and a kick return touchdown to get Calgary back in this football game.
I wondered if the Trey Blackman hit on defense would give the Calgary Stampeders a spark. And not just the defense, but their entire team. Well, it gave Titus Ryan a spark. He's in there and replacing Kenyon Rambo on offense, but he can do it on the teams as well. Look at that speed.
I asked Ryan Thelwell about Titus Ryan yesterday, and he said, we're not losing any speed with Titus Ryan in the lineup, but you saw him hot-footed to the end zone, and that gives the defending Grey Cup champions their first spark of the night. Demetrius Summers cramping up in the end zone, and he is getting attention. But that's the first something to cheer about for this sold-out McMahon Stadium here tonight. So while Summers gets attention, Calgary celebrates, and we'll take a break here with the Stamps on the board. In the league in 2008, but Titus Ryan, the rookie, has won in the season opener for the Stamps.
Let me get there.
Good blocking. He got some help from that return team.
Extra point from Sandro DeAngelis. And here early in the second quarter, the defending Grey Cup champions have hit the scoreboard.
He got the initial block and a kickoff return. That returner, basically what he needs to do is get that past that first wave. And you're going to see it open up for Titus Ryan right here. You can see that angle. Now he's heading to the sideline, but out of the corner of his eye, you can see he recognizes the hole, hits it up in there, and then all he does is use his speed down the sideline and outruns all the Montreal Alouette angles. You know, he's replacing Kenyon Rambo, who will be back in the lineup in probably next week, if not the week after. This is the type of play that can keep Titus Ryan dressed and in the lineup, even if he's not starting at receiver.
He did have a 52-yard punt return in the preseason, and as advertised, he can fly.
Make it your thing, you know?
So let's see if that is the spark the Stamps needed. Demetrius Summers went to the Calgary dressing room. Looks like a hamstring injury as DeAngelis lines it downfield, and Taylor from his 6. And Larry Taylor up to the 29-yard line. Tackled on the play by Malik Jackson. And Anthony Calvillo will try for a quick response. Working on a perfect night.
Closing in on 60,000 career yards, Anthony Calvillo. But you can see the Calgary Stampeders, since that Trey Blackman hit, had a little more jump in their step. We'll see if Calvillo, how he moves this offense, if the defense can work off of that momentum and the big return by Titus Ryan.
Stampeders have both Canadians in at defensive end. Mike Labinjo into the game, and that was a shift by Calvillo to sidestep the oncoming Labinjo, who was such a huge factor in last year's Grey Cup game.
Boy, what a run in the playoffs Mike Labinjo had. When you consider the Western Final and that goal line stand for Calgary against the BC Lions. Here in McMahon Stadium, Lubinjo making back-to-back plays to deny the Lions the end zone. And then the tremendous Grey Cup he had.
Calvillo with a 5-yard run, so it's 2nd and 5. Short drop, flag down. Richardson has the catch. And Jamel Richardson, who had a big Grey Cup game in his own right with 123 yards, as his 2nd grab of the night, but a marker on the play.
And a great Grey Cup game and tremendous season with 16 touchdowns for Jamel Richardson.
Late to camp, though, this year, however, after suffering with a bout of pneumonia. And this penalty is going to bring it back against the Owls.
Offside. Montreal, number 86. 5-yard penalty. Will repeat. 2nd down.
You don't hear that number called too often. For a penalty, Ben Cahoon.
107 catches last year for Cahoon. But all this motion, you wonder if the Alouettes are going to be tripped up at least once, because Ben Cahoon right in the middle of that formation, you can see he is just over the line of scrimmage and had to put the brakes on.
So that makes it 2nd and 10 from just inside the Montreal 30. And Calvillo looked one way, nothing there, so he dumps it off, and Coburn's surrounded at the 35, well short of the 1st down. The Stamps defense creates the stop they needed.
You mentioned Mike Lubinjo, who did not start this game. Justin Phillips did in his place. More on that in a second. But this is the goal line stand for Lubinjo against the Lions in the West Final. 2 plays back-to-back, which really sealed the deal for the Calgary Stampeders. He had a huge Grey Cup championship game. Could have been, along with Sandro D'Angelis, the outstanding Canadian in that game without question. He was a little overweight coming into camp this year.
Yes, he was. And still tipping the Toledo's over. That ball blocked, and Dwight Anderson is on it. So suddenly the momentum of this game shifts as Wes Lysak has a punt block for Calgary.
Back-to-back big special team plays by the Calgary Stampeders. That's Wes Lysak right there. Now Darren Dietrich's got a seal here and then look to help to that side as a personal protector. He doesn't do that. He slides to his left too soon, opening the lane for Wes Lysak. He steps in there and blocks the kick. 2 big plays on the teams for the Calgary Stampeders to get this team going.
Lysak, the captain of the Calgary special teams in his 7th year out of Manitoba. And Craig Dickinson and his group has helped shift momentum here in the 2nd quarter. A 13-point Montreal lead, but Calgary's got the ball at the Owls 31. Burris over the middle. And here's Titus Ryan again. Inside the 10.
2 ways to take advantage of a player's speed, a receiver's speed. One way is to just straight send him deep, throw the ball up, and let him go get it. The other way is to have him come across the field on a short crossing route, hit him in stride, and see if that speed he can get the corner. Titus Ryan does get the corner here outside and picks up good 15-20 yards.
23 and a 1st and goal for the Stampeders. Henry Burris looking into the end zone, and Copeland couldn't pull it down. At the back of the end zone, in coverage for the former Alouette.
Henry Burris had a little more time, I think, than he thought he did. Jermaine Copeland's going to run and end up getting double coverage in the back of the end zone. That's Billy Parker, the newcomer at halfback, staying on the outside shoulder. And then he gets a little help at safety from Matthew Prue. There's Copeland right here, and he's going to come down, and that's where you want to be for the halfback position. Billy Parker on the outside shoulder when you know the safety's in the middle. Well played by Montreal.
2nd and goal from the 8. The Alouettes looked offside, and the pass over the head of the intended target, Titus Ryan. But the Alouettes rookie middle linebacker looked like he jumped the gun.
Offside. Montreal, number 41. Restricted penalty. The second down repeated.
The kid who beat out veteran Reggie Hunt for the job at middle linebacker, who's made a few plays tonight. A little too eager that time. So it's second and 4.
And gives Henry Burris one more crack at it.
Off the edge, pressure on Burris. Rolling. Anybody there? Touchdown! Jermaine Copeland!
You can't cover it much better. Marcus Dell was right there. But Copeland wins the battle.
And the champs are off the mat.
It started with a hit on defense, then 2 special teams plays. Henry Burris buys some time here. Diamond Ferry comes off the edge, but is cut down. And that allows Burris to get to the outside corner, and a tough catch made by Jermaine Copeland. Coming right at you.
Marcus still in his hip pocket, the extra point added by DeAngelis. So a touchdown and 7 points off the turnover, the block punt. And the defending champions get right back in the football game.
Henry Burris, this is the veteran in Henry Burris. I want you to see his head and eyes and how he will give Copeland a little bit of outside leverage. Watch how Burris, see how he glanced back to the middle of the field. He knew Copeland was the guy he had to go to, but he glanced back to the middle to hopefully freeze Marcus Dell on the outside. That gave Copeland an edge on leverage to the sideline, and that's where he points. He said, point it, throw it out there, and I'll just lean into it. Nice catch by Copeland.
Little sidearm by the pitcher, and Jermaine Copeland, who they say has the biggest catching window of the Calgary receivers, comes up with a big grab.
It's one of those bay windows put right in the living room. And there's a guy that for a couple of years now, people have been wondering, could it be his last year? Will he be beat out? Well, Jermaine Copeland just keeps rising to the challenge.
Well, he's one of the leaders. Worked out especially hard in the offseason, made some sacrifices, said John Hufnagel, to ensure he would be back on this team for their title defense. Well, things look a little different right now. And here's Larry Taylor. And Taylor hit by Justin Phillips as he crossed the 25-yard line, and that's where the Alouettes will scrimmage the football. A reminder, the CFL on TSN continues tomorrow night as Mike Kelly and the Blue Bombers meet the Edmonton Eskimos. They kick off the season at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Live coverage 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. And Richie Hall makes his debut. See some new coaches in the league.
It really is amazing when you look at the coaching staff. After Wally Buono, no coach in the CFL has more than 1 year experience. I mean, we're looking at 2 veterans in the coaching ranks here, in John Hufnagel and Mark Chessman going into year 2.
Looking forward to seeing Coach Buono, Ken Miller, BC Saskatchewan on Friday Night Football.
Now there's Ken Miller as well, who's going into year 2 as a head coach. Mike Kelly, the rookie. You mentioned in Winnipeg, you mentioned Richie Hall getting his chance in Edmonton.
Bart Andrus celebrates his first.
That's right, and Marcel Belfait for the first year. He was interim coach last year for a few games, but first year head coach. So John Hufnagel in his second year with 13 wins, second to Wally Buono in the win department for current coaches in the league. A distant second.
It's a big play here midway through the second quarter. Well, the momentum in Calgary's favor, 2nd and 6, and nothing doing. Dwayne Carpenter cut down Avon Coburn. Jawan Simpson is there, and suddenly it's a revved up Stampeder defense.
Yeah, they have really, that spark when they got the hit from middle linebacker Trey Blackman, a couple of special teams plays, and now you could see the hats on the football. Mike Lobinjo getting involved. Good penetration by Lobinjo from the left side of that defensive line facing you. Right side, if you're on defense, number 42. That turns Coburn inside right to his friends.
Then Marcus Howell dropped back to Val to kick, and he just got that away. So the special teams pressure has been cranked up, and this one bounces out at the Stampeder 40-yard line. Great field position for Henry Burris to go back to work against a revamped Montreal defense.
We've talked about Shea Emery, middle linebacker for Reggie Hunt. There's the one change. Eric Wilson goes in for Devon Claybrooks on the defensive line. And the changes in the secondary, with Chip Cox moving down to linebacker, that means Billy Parker's a newcomer and Gerald Brown, both halfbacks. But we haven't talked about him much, and if you're a defensive back, you don't want to be talked about much.
Burris will try to change that. 4 receivers wide side. And it's dumped off a little flanker screen. Back into the hands of Titus Ryan. And he drops the ball. And the Alouettes, I think, got on it. Another play by Ryan, but this time he pops it up. And Montreal has the football.
Well, it looked like it was setting up to be a pretty good play for the Calgary Stampeders to get, again, the football and Titus Ryan, the hot hand. Ryan picks it up and has nice inside move and speed. Diamond Ferry and the hustle from the backside. Was it Eric Wilson?
I think it was Anwar Stewart that
maybe it
jarred
was.
the ball loose right there.
Absolutely. It's a good call. Anwar Stewart coming back, and that's the hustle from the defensive line and the no quit and leadership from Anwar Stewart.
And Mark Castell scooped it up. And the Alouettes stem the momentum that was clearly at the backs of the Stampeders. 7 minutes left, first half. Calvillo slings and Cahoon with a catch. Put down at the Stampeder 50-yard line.
As far as catches goes for Ben Cahoon, his second best season of his 12-year career, 107 catches for Cahoon, a lot of those in the second half of the year.
Yes, he missed the first game of the year, was really a backup in the second, and had 71 catches in the final 9 games.
You know, he started last year contemplating retirement, thinking it may be his last. I asked him about it again this year. He said, Mark Trestman has rebooted my career completely. He might play on.
Second down, Gunny Richardson, and exploding on him was the newcomer, Devonzo Tate. And he made sure that Richardson didn't get to the first down stick.
These young players at halfback are starting to settle in a little bit. Ronnie Amati has started to play better, and there's the first time we get a chance to talk about Devonzo Tate. Again, another newcomer, rookie to the Canadian Football League, played a little arena ball and was in the Jets camp. His last stop.
And was recommended to John Hufnagel by Hufnagel's son, Cole, who works with the Jets. It's third down and a yard, and Adrian McPherson checks back in. So the Alouettes are going to go for it at the Calgary 48. Big McPherson at 6'3", 220. Behind that veteran, Alouette offensive line. Off the right side, and he should have it. Got all the way to the 45. Behind Scott Flory, the top offensive lineman in 2008, and Jeff Parrott, the Lethbridge native, at right tackle.
Good veteran offensive line up front. You think of Brian Chu, 201 games total for him. Scott Flory, 11-year veteran, all with the Montreal Alouettes, 5-time All-Canadian.
2007, they allowed 68 sacks.
Unreal, yeah.
Last year, 22.
What an improvement under Mark Trestman.
First down at the Stamp 45. And looking downfield for Watkins. This time incomplete. And a flag comes down late. There was a pretty good hand fight downfield between Watkins and Amati, and a very late flag.
Little motion to get this matchup, to get the halfback Ronnie Amati on a wide receiver. There's a pull. Now they're going to let that one go. And the rule of thumb is that you're allowed one. And you're allowed one in one stride.
Pass interference on an uncatchable ball. It's a 10-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
Would have been the first incompletion for Calvillo on the night. But instead, it's a 10-yard penalty.
And conversation with head officiating Tom Higgins before this football game and talked about pass interference with him, and they will allow that little arm bar, that little push, but you're only allowed one. It can only be within a stride of the ball arriving. If it happens too early and the defender gains an advantage. Now, the question you have to ask, did Ronnie Amati gain an advantage on Kerry Watkins with those pulls? In the opinion of the official, he did gain an advantage.
So it's a first down, quick hitter, and a nice catch by Watkins. Jarred out of bounds by the corner, Brandon Browner. Kerry Watkins, all CFL PA All-Star at wide out, and opening quarter touchdown here tonight.
He had the highest average of the starting receivers per catch for the Alouettes last year at 14 yards, which means that he was the real deep threat. You know, Jamel Richardson scored a lot of touchdowns and caught a lot of deep balls, but when they really needed it, they went deep to Watkins.
3 1,000-yard receivers last year. Watkins, Cahoon, and Richardson. And Calvillo brings it down. And he is dropped at the 25-yard line. Another first down. Tristan Black with the tackle.
Take another look at just the, imagine a 1, 2, 3, and there'll be a fourth coming out there, receivers for the Montreal Alouettes to the right side. Here comes Ben Cahoon. He's the fourth receiver. Look at all the change motion. 3 receivers going towards the line of scrimmage. Ben Cahoon coming towards the sideline. You saw Bratton coming inside, Cahoon outside. Very difficult to defend that kind of motion.
Less than 4 minutes remaining in the opening half. First down, Cavill. We'll look into Richardson, and plenty of traffic there. Another flag goes down as Jamel Richardson brought down near the line of scrimmage.
Now, one of the other reasons we may see Larry Taylor coming in a little bit for Jamel Richardson and some substitutions is because of that late start in camp and pneumonia that he had. You know, you got to think that that will affect him in the later stages of football games early in the season until he gets hydrated again, gets his wind back.
Touchdowns in 12 of 18 games last year. Alouette record 16 touchdowns.
Blocking downfield before the pass is thrown. Montreal, number 6. It's a 10-yard penalty. We repeat, first down.
And there comes Larry Taylor. We saw him early in the game in the Alouette offense, couple of hit screens.
So Avon Coburn called on the penalty that pushes the ball back to the 34. There's Taylor back into the game. So first and 20. Calvillo with time. Blasted by Dwayne Carpenter. But as usual, Ben Cahoon bounces up.
Yeah, and the reason he can is because of the throw from Anthony Calvillo. He knows that's the danger area, and he doesn't want to get his buddy hurt, so he guns it into his chest so that Cahoon can catch it and coil down so he can absorb the impact from Dwayne Carpenter, and that was big-time impact.
You mentioned Cahoon, who told us yesterday he was 95% sure early last year he was going to retire. And now the retirement plans are nowhere in sight. That ball knocked down.
Labinjo.
And Mike Labinjo got up there and snuffed that play. 3-minute warning here as it heats up in Calgary. So Mike Labinjo does not start this game, but he has made an impact, forcing third down with the first incompletion of the night by Anthony Calvillo, and Damon Duval on to attempt a 32-yard field goal as the rain falls and the sun shines here in the foothills. Cahoon puts it down, and once again Duval is perfect. And the Alouettes lead by 9.
But had to attempt a field goal because Mike Labinjo with another knockdown against the Montreal Alouettes. He comes right off the edge here. He's going to get pushed down, but not until he gets his hand up. I believe it was his right hand, and knocks his throw down. There's the knockdown. Now he goes down working on Josh Burke. In the Grey Cup game, Mark Trestman talked about how important these plays were when Labinjo had those knockdowns in the game. He had both against Calvillo as well as a sack, and then you saw the big tackle on Coburn.
3 knockdowns, and although Mark Trestman did not mention Mike Labinjo by name, he felt the 3 knockdowns really were the difference in the game. They snuffed drives and took points off the board that Montreal thought they could have scored. And Mike Labinjo didn't start, but after a tough preseason, he's making his presence felt again. So it's a 9-point Montreal lead. The Alouettes scored the first 20 points of the night. And this one splits Titus Ryan and Marcus Howell. And they may have to concede a single point as Howell puts the knee down. So a little miscommunication between the return men. And it's now a 10-point lead. And what a postseason it was. 2 games, and I'm not sure defensive players ever had 2 better statistical games in the postseason than that.
And that doesn't, talk about the importance and the timing of those plays, but just the totals are impressive enough. Well, 11 tackles and the 4 sacks. Amazing for Mike Labinjo in those 2 postseason games, one being the biggest game of his career in the Grey Cup Championship.
Less than 2.5 minutes left. And what's been an interesting first half. Harris on the run throws that away.
And in fairness to the Calgary Stampeders, I mean, they spent the entire offseason touring the Grey Cup. They've just received their Grey Cup rings, I believe, a couple of weeks ago on the weekend, and we're enjoying what they accomplished last season, and it's not a big surprise, even with John Hufnagel and his focus and his discipline, that they got off to a bit of a slow start and looked a little sleepy in that first quarter.
Wanted to ask you what you remember about 1990.
I remember a similar situation. Number one, you have a bullseye on your chest from then on once you win.
2nd and 10. Big rush. Burris gets it away, and that ball almost picked off. It was tipped in the air. Shea Emery had a shot at it, intended for Titus Ryan. And a 2-and-out.
It looked like it was Mark Estelle who made the nice play to get his hand around Titus Ryan and get that knockdown without drawing the flag for pass interference. There's the knockdown up in the air. Diamond Ferry had a chance, and the best chance, you're right, Shea Emery. Boy, would he have liked that big play in his first start at middle linebacker.
Stampeders fortunate that they don't turn it over. Instead, they will punt it away off the foot of Brooke Dales with Taylor back. And the win behind Dales here in the second quarter. High and fielded by Taylor at the 27. And Larry Taylor finds a crease. Brooke Dales, the only man back. Larry Taylor streaking down the sidelines, and Lysak cuts him down to save a touchdown. Well, Ryan had a kick return touchdown, and now Larry Taylor, who lit up Edmonton in the Eastern Final, rambles 58 yards with this return.
Yeah, we've seen him in the offense, and he gets past again. Even if it's a punt return, he gets past that first wave. Makes a couple of guys miss in the open field, then it's speed to the sideline. What an Eastern Final he had, Larry Taylor.
Couple of touchdowns, 64, 97 yards, 203 return yards in that game against the Eskimos. So the momentum back in the sails of the Alouettes. And that into the right flat for Richardson, who got under a tackle and gets a first down. Big Jamel Richardson. And a reminder coming up at halftime. Rhoda at the half. Good to have the big boys here in town for this season opener. And we'll hear from Chris, Jacques, Matt, and Dave who managed to make it here to Calgary after missing his first flight.
Boy, almost right back to rookie status for Dave Randorf, who gets a chance to go on the road with the panel and sleeps in. Wow.
First down, and Calgary, another ball batted down. Well, the second time in the second quarter that Calvillo has had balls batted down.
Talked earlier in the first half about how Mark Trestman likes to get the football out of Calvillo's hands quickly. Quick release quarterback, make your read, and get the ball going. The one way to defend that is to get your hands up. It's frustrating for defenders because they don't get those big sacks. They don't have time to get to the quarterback, but they can get their hands up and try and get the knockdown. We've seen a couple.
Both Justin Brown and Dwayne Carpenter got up, and Carpenter got a piece of the football. So it's 2nd and 10 at the 12. Calvillo guns Richardson, and he won't get past Devonzo Tate. Good defensive play by that rookie DB, and it'll be 3rd down.
Chris, that's what you have to do as a tackler in the open field. You get this big a field in the Canadian Football League, 65 yards wide. When you're in the open field one-on-one, you just want to buy yourself some time. Devonzo Tate does that. He doesn't have to really lunge. He just buys himself some time, and all his friends come and help out. And was very close to a face mask there.
Undetected, so it does bring up 3rd down, and DeVal looks for his 4th field goal of the night. And that's automatic for the 5-year veteran, as the Alouettes extend their lead.
And it does the Alouettes take some momentum back, Chris. There was the big hit on defense for Calgary, some special teams play. It looked like Calgary was grabbing the momentum in that second quarter and was going to run away. But even though Mark Trestman's squad has come up with 2 field goals back-to-back here, they have moved the football. They've taken some momentum away, and they've slowed the pace down and taken a sold-out McMahon Stadium crowd out of it.
Well, circumstances are a bit different, and certainly the magnitude of the game, but remember the last possession of the first half at the Grey Cup game. Calgary was down, and Henry Burris drove the Stamps to a touchdown late in the first half, and even though Mark Trestman's team led at the half, it seemed to be the difference in the football game. It got Calgary rolling, and let's see what Burris can do in the final 60 seconds of this first half, down by 13.
And depending on field position by this return team, who, by the way, already have a kick return touchdown if you're just joining us. Titus Ryan at that one. That's Marcus Howell. Now, he had some communication issues on the last kickoff.
Now this one's swift. It hit one of the up men, and Calgary has to get on it quickly as that ball bounced off Teo Johnson. So they don't want to put it in the hands of Titus Ryan. And Tim O'Neill may have touched the ball for the first time, other than snapping the football, in his CFL career.
And he didn't want any part of it, and it was a good decision to try and get out of the way.
University of Calgary product, making sure that Henry Burris and the offense get a chance to cut into this Alouette lead in the final minute of the first half. And Burris delivers the strike, and Jermaine Copeland has a first down up near midfield. Alouettes go to the hurry up, 52 seconds on the clock, which will start on Bud Steen's whistle.
And just two first downs away from field goal range, which would be a win for Calgary to get some points going into the half.
14 yards for Copeland. The ball on the Calgary 54. And Burris steps up, and he'll take off, and the slide. Feet first at the Alouette 48-yard line in front of Shea Emery and Diamond Ferry.
A heads-up play by Diamond Ferry to not go ahead and hit Henry Burris. He indicated he was sliding early, and Ferry just slid along with him, not draw a penalty.
Mark it at the 50, so it's 6 for Burris, 2nd and 4.
6.
receiver set. Burris looking, Titus Ryan, a catch, and a flag as Ryan's brought down at the 40.
And it's right over where the play occurred, Chris. I'm wondering if there was a rub or pick action by the Calgary offense. Henry Burris, by that reaction, looks like it may go against Calgary. It was a little bit of a rub play by the Stampeder receivers on the short side of the field.
Blocking downfield before the ball is thrown. Calgary, number 80. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat, second down.
We've seen that go against both teams. John Huffnagel disagrees.
Yeah, Jermaine Copeland was the receiver going down the field, and he really picked, I believe it was Mark Castell, so that Titus Ryan could come underneath to catch that pass. You can see John Huffnagel doesn't agree.
As they execute it the way the coach draws it up, but the officials saw otherwise. Makes it a long second down, and here comes Joffrey Reynolds, high stepping for first down. What a conversion on 2nd and 13. 24 yards, the screen to Joffrey Reynolds.
Now you mentioned him leading the Canadian Football League in rushing yards, over 1,300 for Joffrey Reynolds, but he also makes a real good catch on this screen play and does have soft hands when it comes to making those catches out of the backfield.
Got a block from the right guard, second-year man Dimitri Sumpas. And now Burris in the pocket, another flag, and that ball is intercepted. What a dazzling interception that was by Billy Parker, the rookie. But let's see what the flag's all about.
Henry Burris' intended target went down either by contact or slipped.
And the indication is it's against Montreal. 3 seconds on the clock. Billy Parker will not celebrate his first Canadian Football League interception.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Montreal. It's a 10-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. First down.
No number there, but it looked like it was right at the point of attack, Chris, because the intended target for Henry Burris slipped on the play. That's why Billy Parker had such a wide open chance at that ball. He made a real nice catch, but it won't count.
So it gives Sandro DeAngelis a chance to attempt a field goal. 5 for 5 last year in the Grey Cup game, named top Canadian in the championship game. Brett Ralph the holder, and this will be from 33 yards out. And Sandro drills his first field goal of 2009, and it's a 10-point game at the half at McMahon. Once a 20-point lead for the Alouettes. John Huffnagel's team trails by 10, headed to the locker room.
And the score is 27-17. It is a 10-point lead for the Montreal Alouettes over the Grey Cup champs. Dave Randorf, Jock Climby, Grey Cup, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. You know,
so you were late, huh? You missed a flight?
Oh, Suter. Glenn Suter.
I'm glad he brought that up.
Have to bust me every chance he gets.
They need to know the truth about you.
I never slept in and missed a flight. I missed one flight.
Unbelievable.
Right. Anyway, listen. You know what? They've sold 30,000 season tickets here in Calgary. 30,000. And I'm sure maybe a couple people were looking for their money back after the Stamps started very poorly, got back into it. But full credit to Montreal's great start, Schultze.
Full credit to the Montreal Alouettes. There is not a Canadian Football League team that is more prepared and can execute a preparation and a plan and make it happen better than the Montreal Alouettes. Their 2 opening possessions. I mean, listen. They did a marvelous job of coming out and playing extremely well in the opening. I know that Calgary came back, they did great special teams plays. Great job by this football team, but still, the Montreal Alouettes, their opening 2 series, fantastic.
Yeah, we were wondering there for a second whether or not this was going to be a blowout. bad news from Stampederland. But, you know, they started to get it together after an on-field, off-field incident. And I was standing on the sideline and got to see the whole thing up close. After Montreal scored their second touchdown, Coburn ran it in. Dwight Anderson came off the field and was absolutely
He was hot.
off the charts. I can't repeat. It's a family program. Can't repeat what it's saying, but by the time he got to the bench, he was actually, it turns out, yelling at his own defensive lineman. And you guys know that's not on. You can't do this as a team and call out somebody else on your own defensive side of the ball. Coach Huffnagel got the guys together, put the whole defense together and told them no more of that. You start to come together as a group and start playing together as a unit, and they did, and they started shutting down the Montreal offense after that, and it's for that reason they're back in the ballgame, Eddie.
Yeah, and it was special teams. You know, Craig Dickinson's group did an awesome job, you know. But this offseason, the CFL reached out to fans. A couple rule changes came into play, right? Well, what does Calgary do? First offensive play, Demetrius Summers is taking the snap, doing the wildcat, and we see it. It doesn't work. It's a busted play. Puts Henry in second and long. O'Shea, nice job. O'Shea Embry does a nice job. Open field tackle. Henry pushed him in a punt situation. Burkdale's is standing in his end zone. Here comes a second rule change into play. Calgary chooses not to take the safety because they don't want to kick off from the 25. They punt the ball back to Montreal. And what happens, Dave? Montreal takes the ball down 5 plays and scores a touchdown. So 2 off-season rule changes come into play here early in the first game.
How you guys enjoying this right now? Sitting in the rain? Can you tell it's raining pretty good right now? And actually, you know what? One other rule change is the Stamps got the kickoff return touchdown basically because there was a change in the rules there too. You have to kick after the field goal, and that kind of got Calgary back into the game, and this game's far from over, I'm thinking, right? It's only a 10-point game as Montreal leads 27-17 at the half. We got more from McMahon Stadium on Canada Day CFL kickoff here on TSN.
Dipping in as well with his legs. He's a much more athletic quarterback this year. As for Calgary, obviously disappointing 99 yards in the first half, but I got a feeling that Henry Burris is going to get these guys rolling again, David.
Yeah, the rain has started to ease off. Let's send it upstairs to the men in the booth, Glenn Suter and Chris Cuthbert. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, David. There is Anthony Calvillo, who had a sharp first half, 20 points in the first quarter, but the game certainly turned in the second, and it should be a very interesting second half as the Stampeders got back in it. As Matt mentioned, it was a lot of special teams.
Well, a lot of people may think it was the return. I think it was a few plays earlier. That hit from Trey Blackman got the entire team going. A couple of big plays, one on a block kick by Les Lysek on the teams, the return by Titus Ryan, the throw there from Henry Burris to Jermaine Copeland, and the Calgary Stampeders climbed back into this game in the second quarter. I really thought, though, it was that hit from Trey Blackman on defense that ignited the Calgary team. And we'll see if they can use some of that momentum in this second half.
Stampeders have won their last 3 season openers. The Alouettes always seem to be great out of the gate, and they have won 11 of 12 season openers. The loss being 2 years ago against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. But a lot of football to be played here. Mark Trestman's defense shut down Henry Burris. In the first quarter, he did not have a passing yard in quarter number 1.
Well, just 1 first down, I believe, in that first quarter. 9 for the Montreal Alouettes. That was how dominant Montreal was over John Huffnagel's squad. Mark Trestman added to the playbook in a big way through this training camp and off season. We saw that in the first half. A lot of misdirection on the offense. But Calgary started to figure out in their secondary, which has 2 young players at the halfback positions in Calgary. They started to settle in, play a little bit better in that second.
It was a glorious Canada Day here weather-wise until late in the afternoon, and as you can see, the sky's opening up once again as we start the second half off the foot of Damon Duval. And here's Titus Ryan. And he's made an impression. Brought down by Goolsby and Guzman. on the special teams. Let's compare the quarterback numbers in the first 30 minutes.
Anthony Calvillo really had his way with the Calgary defense, especially in the first quarter, and they started to figure out a little bit in the second quarter, and he settled for a couple of field goals. And it wasn't until halfway through the second that Henry Burris got going. But I agree with Jock Climbing. I mean, Calgary Stampeders are defending champions, and they may have a bit of that hangover effect in the first quarter. They started to play with more intensity in the second.
Hands the ball off to Joffrey Reynolds. First time the Stamps have had a leading rusher in the league since Gary Allen in 1986.
And remember, these are the top 2 quarterbacks in the Canadian football last year. When you consider that going into that Grey Cup championship, they had combined for 82 touchdowns. Best all time in CFL history for 2 quarterbacks going into a championship. So we thought we would see some offense in this game tonight when Anthony Calvillo and Henry Burris face each other.
Burris with 39 touchdown tosses last year, a personal best. Most completions, most attempts, and most yards. Best percentage of Burris's career. 2nd and 6, and he looks in for the newcomer Titus Ryan once again. The catch will be short of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and almost 2.
Calgary went for it a couple of times in that first half, more out of desperation than anything, trying to get something going offensively. I'm not sure that John Hufnagel will go here. That's a long yard, or you're right, Chris, almost 2. And the officials aren't even going to bring in the sticks to measure it, so Hufnagel goes with the punt team.
So Burke Dales does come on. And a 2-and-out to start the second half for Calgary. This is a story that Burke Dales had signed as a free agent with Winnipeg in the offseason. His dad called him the next day and said, "You didn't tell me." And Burke had to tell Dad, "Well, I didn't." So they had talked, but there was a premature report, and Dales ended up right back here with the Stampeders. Larry Taylor lets that hit the carpet. It takes a good Calgary hop inside the 15, and he'll step out at the 13-yard line. So the Alouettes will start deep here in the second half. Back at Rainey McMahon, let's join Jermaine Franklin with Commissioner Mark Cohan.
That's right, Chris. And Mark, the one question we have for you, this Canada Day start for the CFL, how do you like it, and do you think it could be a tradition?
Well, I think it's a great start. This is Canada's league, and to start on Canada Day makes sense. Fans have responded. It's sold out here. And I think, I think we might start a little bit of a tradition. It hasn't happened in 11 years, and I like it.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
And I echo those sentiments. It's a nice way to start.
Well, it's perfect. This game is part of the fabric of this country. Canada Day celebrating 142nd birthday.
Anthony Calvillo starts deep in his own zone. And it's Jamel Richardson who cops up the football, and the Stampeders have got it. That's the newcomer, Justin Brown, after Richardson had it slip through his fingers.
Jamel Richardson catches this little slant inside and goes right to that danger zone. All kinds of Calgary Stampeders pursuing to the football. Comes from the left of your screen, drops over the middle, from the right to the left. Now he cuts back into the middle, and that's where the traffic begins.
Looked like Jawan Simpson jarred it loose with his shoulder.
Dwayne Carpenter had a shot at it. He wanted to scoop it up and run with it.
Let's go, baby!
All right, Justin Brown comes up with it.
7 points off turnovers in the first half, and now Burris with the keeper, Chip Cox, pulls him down from behind. And Burris wants the horse collar penalty, but none forthcoming.
And in the beginning of last year, they added that penalty. If you grab the shoulder pads of the ball carrier and pull him down from those shoulder pads, is horse collaring, but he grabbed the jersey. Good speed by Chip Cox there to chase Henry Burris down.
Burris with 18 yards on the ground so far tonight. Had 7 there, 2nd and 3. Short drop, and pass pass interference as the play was disrupted, intended for Nick Lewis, who was slowed up as he made his cut.
Diamond Ferry providing some pressure up the middle. Shea Emery and the linebacking core both stunting, and it caused some problems for Burris.
Pass interference. Montreal, number 39. Automatic first down at the 4.
Gerald Brown, the rookie defensive back for the Alouettes. Former top defensive player in the Arena League gets the call.
And just on that cutback as Lewis tried to get across his face.
So first and goal from the 4. Henry Burris to the goal line and just out of the reach of the intended target.
Yeah, Joffrey Reynolds. Yeah, he comes out of the backfield, Chris, and if he keeps running, it looked like he hesitated for a couple of steps to see where Henry Burris wanted to throw it, whether he was going to throw it behind him or out to the flat. There's Joffrey Reynolds, starts out here, and he's just going to work his way out to the flat. And when he does, he kind of puts the brakes on for just a second to look back at Burris, and when he does, he loses his momentum to the football and misses it by inches.
So it's second and goal. The fake to Reynolds. Henry Burris will score. Touchdown, Calgary. A 4-yard touchdown run by Burris.
When you have the #1 running back in the Canadian Football League from a year ago, the defense has got to respect that. And watch the two players here. I believe it's Anwar Stewart and Shea Emery. Both will be influenced by play action as they are sucked down to Joffrey Reynolds right here in the middle of your screen. Burris jumps to the outside and walks in.
Yeah, John Bowman really bit on the fake. Burris the score, DeAngelis the extra point, and what was once a 20-point lead is now 3. The CFL on TSN continues Friday as the BC Lions and Saskatchewan Roughriders kick off their season in Regina. Friday Night Football live coverage begins 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, a rematch of last year's Western Semi. And this Grey Cup rematch is starting to round into form after a sputtering start by the defending champs.
Couple of game plays on special teams, turnover for the Montreal Alouettes, and all of a sudden we do have a game.
Short kick. Taylor takes it at the 22. And across the 35 before he's getting tackled. Justin Phillips involved. Let's have another look at Hank Burris' first touchdown run of the year.
Yeah, first of all, Shea Emery right here. Now, just so you know, he has to commit to the run and Joffrey Reynolds. And I apologize to Anwar Stewart. It was John Bowman on the outside who loses contain. His job for Bowman is just to step up and keep contained. He gets sucked in too. Emery, the middle linebacker, absolutely has to commit to the run to Joffrey Reynolds. So he's not in the wrong here. He's got to go. But Bowman has to stay outside, and he wasn't there.
So the Alouettes will try to reestablish things here. Coburn, traffic behind the line of scrimmage, and not much there for Avon Coburn against what's become a stouter Calgary defense.
Anthony Calvillo got off to a tremendous start in this football game. He got Kerry Watkins deep down the sideline, used all his receivers, showed a little bit of the differences that this offense was going to bring, spread the football around. 9 first downs to 1 in the first quarter for AC.
Started the night 15 of 15. And that pass delivered low, and Ben Cahoon can't take it off his shoe tops.
Well, more intensity for one thing from the Calgary Stampeders on defense. Also, their youngsters have started to settle in a bit. Trey Blackman started to make an impression in the second. You see Dwayne Carpenter there with the play Chris Jones, the defensive coordinator, had a very similar situation last year at the beginning of the year. A whole bunch of new personnel that he had to get together. It's like he has this year, only 7 starters returning. Let's go.
And Duval kicking away on 3rd down. Marcus Howell from his 23. The Winnipeg native with a hurdle and a seam and across the 50. And Duval finally trips him up. But Marcus Howell with another big Calgary return. That one 34 yards. Well, for every sack in tonight's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. This great program continues again this year. Purolator, where business is going, and those were the final totals last year. Cameron Wake made quite an impact, didn't he?
23 of the 68 for Cameron Wake, who is now in the National Football League. But the Montreal Alouettes, I mentioned early on, were second. Their defensive line was underrated all year long.
Boys are not in a very benevolent mood. We have not had a sack tonight. Nice fake to Reynolds again, but that pass is incomplete.
A good field position for Henry Burris here because of Marcus Howell's return. Similar to the return where Titus Ryan scored, he starts out to the wide side and then cuts up the middle once he gets to that first wave and is really not touched till Damon Duval gets him on the sideline. Mr. Everything, Mr. Versatility for the Calgary Stampeders. He plays in almost every position except quarterback.
Mostly at corner in camp, but pressed into receiving duties here without Kenyon Rambo, and Ryan Thelwell has not seen action. And Titus Ryan unable to bring it down, but there is a marker on the play, and Titus Ryan seeing his share of action in the absence of both Rambo and Thelwell.
I don't think the ball was in the air when the contact was made. However, was it Titus Ryan on the slant against Mark Estelle with a push, or did Estelle grab him?
Pass interference, Calgary, number 83, the penalty is declined.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Down.
Titus Ryan was running a slant one-on-one on Mark Estelle, or a post pattern. You're gonna see a good look at it here. He makes contact coming into the middle. Estelle is allowed to hold his ground as long as he's square to the line of scrimmage, and Titus Ryan basically ran over him to get to the football.
So the rookie against the veteran corner that many feel is the best at that position in the league. Burkdale's in, and Larry Taylor waits. High, not deep. On a hop at the 15. So no yards flag. And Taylor brought down at the 24-yard line. Tristan Black, one of the newcomers, being on the tackle for Calgary. Maybe more than one penalty.
No yards. Calgary number 40. Penalty is declined. The gain was greater. First down.
Well, let's go back to pre-game. Last year's Grey Cup in the Calgary dressing room.
We are playing Montreal in Montreal. Right. We are playing on the road. We are playing in a dome. We are playing in front of 65,000 screaming fans. Men, we got them right where we want them.
Well, they're in Calgary tonight, and they were down by 20. Do you think he used any part of that speech?
Well, it was a speech that was replayed on YouTube and on radio across this country. It was that Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday big speech. In fact, it was so influential on the football team that they put it and inscribed it on the inside of their Grey Cup rings. Men, we got them right where we want them.
And those rings are so big, they could put the whole speech inscribed on the inside of it. Avon Coburn again after a first down run. Gets 3 more after a scamper of 15 prior to that. John Hubnagel mentioned yesterday that he spent about a half hour crafting what he would say to his team, and there's not much question he hit all the high notes with that one.
It gives you goosebumps when you hear it, no matter how many times you hear it. It will go down as folklore with this Grey Cup championship team, 2008.
2nd and 7 for Calvillo. Looked one way, and now he'll take off. And he comes up just short of the first down. Ronnie Amati, the newcomer at defensive half, got there, I think, to prevent the first down.
And are those rings nice or not? I mean, you can take a look at this Grey Cup championship ring. 109 diamonds that add up to 2 carats, 14 rubies, and there was 60 grams of gold in these rings. The price of them is around, or what they're worth is around $16,000. For the men that have won them, they're priceless. And it's what you play for. The money goes. But those rings you will have forever, representing your championship, and those are beautiful. You know, each one of those rings took 6 days to build.
And now they start the quest for another ring.
And that game will be played right here in McMahon Stadium in the end of November.
3rd and short, so again, the second-year quarterback, Adrian McPherson. As the big boys hunker down, and McPherson, as he does so often, gets it with plenty to spare.
You know, there is a real art. This seems like a basic, simple throwaway play for a quarterback to just take that sneak and follow his offensive line to get a few inches or a yard. But Adrian McPherson here is playing it real well, and there's almost an art to it. To be able to keep your low shoulder pads like that, to keep your body angle low, but keep your eyes up, and to find the soft spot in the offensive line and not just run up the back of a guy who may be stopped. Adrian McPherson is looking good at it.
Got 4 yards on that, 14 yards on sneaks in the game. And now Calvillo swinging it deep, and that's busted up and intercepted. Milton Collins off the tip by Brandon Browner. So another Montreal turnover, with the Alouettes leading by a field goal.
What is the #1 responsibility for the free safety in the defensive secondary? In this case, it's Milton Collins. Read the quarterback, make sure you figure out which way early he's going to try and throw the football, and then flow and fly to that ball. You're a free man, and look at the ground that Milton Collins covers.
As Calvillo tried to go deep over Brandon Browner. Browner the trip. The tip, and Collins with the interception. He had 3 last year. It's a little dump off to Nick Lewis. And Lewis up close to midfield. But here's somebody at the Alouette bench calling for an illegal formation. No penalty markers on the play.
Looked like Henry Burris had trouble getting the handle of the football as he took this shotgun snap. He little fake there to Joffrey Reynolds. He finally got the handle, dumps it off to Nick Lewis. And he gets those yak yards after the catch.
First catch for Lewis, his 89th consecutive game with a grab. Out of double tight ends. First down. Brent Ralph's got his first catch. And the guy with a Grey Cup touchdown from Raymond, Alberta, close to another Stamp first down. And a late flag, as I think somebody on the Stampeders offense got cut down from behind well after the play. And let's wait to find out what the call is. It's a late hit well after Brett Ralph was brought down.
Officials getting the options from Calgary Stampeders. That it definitely indicates it's against Montreal.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Montreal, number 40, it's a 15-yard penalty.
Diamond Ferry.
First down.
That play was over, and he came back and somehow took down Antonio Hall. So the play is over there, and there's the late shot on the right tackle, Antonio Hall. So 15 yards that Mark Trestman will not be happy about. And a first down at the 31 for Calgary. Looking for their first lead of the game, and Ralph can't hang on.
It looked like Billy Parker, the halfback for the Alouettes, was distracting Brett Ralph just enough. Took his concentration away. Brett Ralph tries to run the deeper out pattern here. It's right here, and he's just gonna come down and run the out here. And when he does, you're gonna see the man-to-man coverage from Billy Parker. Just a little distraction there. He's allowed that bump. No 5-yard rule in the Canadian Football League. As long as your shoulder pads are square to the line, you can make contact like that.
2nd and 10. Burris under duress from Eric Wilson. Now Guzman, and he brings him down. The reserve linebacker, Ramon Guzman, with great closing speed and a big defensive play.
Out of Buffalo, 6'2" and 232 pounds, a rookie. Raymond Guzman showed some pretty good speed because Henry Burris, one of the best running quarterbacks in the CFL. Wasn't a career best last year, but was close.
And Guzman, you mentioned from Buffalo, where he played under Turner Gill, the former Montreal quarterback. So it's 3rd down, and here's DeAngelis looking to get this game back on even terms. And Sandro is money again. Tie game.
This is what we expected between the two Grey Cup teams from a year ago.
Sandro beaming yesterday, talking about his new addition in the offseason. 2.5-month-old Massimo, or Max DeAngelis. He and Damon Duval battling tonight. They teamed up and actually ran kicking clinics in the offseason, both in the Montreal area and here in Calgary.
Was good on 86% last year, which is incredible. Anytime you're over 80, 50 of 58 in his attempts in the regular season.
So it was a 20-point lead for Damon Duval and the Alouettes, and now Calgary has roared back in 17 of the Stamps' 27 points off turnovers. A block punt, a Richardson fumble, and Anthony Calvillo's interception that was picked off by Milton Collins. Taylor from inside the 10. And Dion Raymond was downfield quickly to slow down Taylor. Anthony Calvillo back to work and continues to earn the respect and admiration of his head coach.
I mean, he's the first to arrive every day at the office. He passionately prepares in detail. He continues to transcend our locker room. Anybody who sees him over the next few weeks as we go through this league will see he's probably in the best condition that he may have ever been in his career.
Closing in on 60,000 career yards, 196 tonight so far.
3rd in career touchdown passes. He's now 4 shy of Ron Lancaster for number 2, and he goes to his most reliable receiver, Ben Cahoon, with a first down catch.
Take a look at where Anthony Calvillo is in all-time in football. There he is at 58,683 yards, climbing the ladder on Dan Marino. When you look at that list, the only guy that can still add to his numbers is Brett Favre if he decides where he or if he wants to play again.
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting. So is a whole bunch of people in the National Football League.
AC at 82% on the night. Last year against Calgary, 53.1%. As Coburn off the left side up to the 39-yard line.
Well, I think that Anthony Calvillo was flirting with 70% in 2008 is just incredible. You know, part of the credit goes to the offense and the coordination from Mark Trestman and the style of offense that they play with that quick passing game, lots of motion, and you can spread it around to veteran receivers as well, especially Ben Cahoon, who is really the safety blanket and has been for 12 years for Calgary.
2nd and 6, short drop, and that pass broken up by Browner, but he'll draw a marker as Browner and Kerry Watkins continue their duel.
You know, early in the game, the Alouettes were getting the matchup. Kerry Watkins on the newcomer, Ronnie Amati. Chris Jones, the defensive coordinator, has changed that up by formation.
Pass interference. Calgary, number 27. Automatic first down.
And he's got the matchup he wants. Now, Brandon Browner's going to draw the flag here. He puts his hand up on him there. And that left hand and grab of the jersey is enough to gain an advantage on the play and pull Kerry Watkins back away from going back towards that football. But Chris Jones has switched things up to get a matchup with Browner on Kerry Watkins rather than Ronnie Amati.
Remember, Browner was a late confirmation for the Grey Cup game. John Hufnagel said it was 3 hours before game time before he finally made the decision to go with Browner. And as it turned out, we found out after the game, he either played with or suffered a broken bone in the ankle during the game. Here's Calvin. Look out! Jolted, ball loose, Cahoon on it. And I'm not sure if they're going to rule that a catch and a fumble or an incompletion.
Devonzo Tate stepped into him. When you run to the flat, especially on a full roll by the quarterback, the entire flow of the defense goes with the quarterback. And the halfback of Devonzo Tate was sitting outside waiting. So basically, Avon Coburn has to catch this the first time and turn around, or it's lights out.
That was a catch. It was a fumble, and Ben Cahoon alertly got on the football.
That was close, but good play by Cahoon to do it anyway.
Loss of 3 on the play.
Football's back.
And there'll be some bruises after this one. And Watkins does hang on. Kerry Watkins somehow comes up with that and has a first down for the Alouettes.
You don't see it much, but the Calgary Stampeders decide to play a little zone defense here, and they allow Brandon Browner to play way back to the left of your screen, just outside. I put there in because you'll see him in a second. That's why he is so far off of Kerry Watkins. When Brandon Browner is playing man coverage, he's going to get up in the grill of the receiver. That time he played zone and gave Watkins a little room. Anthony Calvillo recognized it and took advantage.
4 straight 1,000-yard seasons for Kerry Watkins. It's a first down for the Alouettes in the final minute of this third quarter. Trying to reclaim the lead. Lots of time, but that ball out of the reach of a lunging Ben Cahoon.
Calvillo wanted to go to Watkins again. Ben Cahoon there on that little flat pass. He was the second choice for Calvillo. This is Watkins in an ISO. I want you to show you the matchup they get. They get him back on that newcomer, Ronnie Amani, the halfback. That's where Calvillo wanted to go. Amani held his own there, so he had to go to Ben Cahoon on the outside.
So the ball in Calgary territory. Stamped 50-yard line. It's 2nd and 10 for the Alouettes. And Calvillo has a completion. There is Brian Bratton, who Calvillo feels is the underrated man in this Montreal offense.
That's a good catch by Bratton, but I want to go back to the matchup that I'm watching closely and could become a big play somewhere down the line here. This is what happens when Brandon Browner plays man. We saw him in zone. Now he gets his hand and maybe gets away with a little tug there, but bottom line is when he's playing man, he's playing like that, up in the face of the receiver. 12. We'll watch this matchup.
Final play of the quarter after that 13-yard catch and a first down for Bratton. They fake, and here's the little toss on the end around by Larry Taylor, and he is tripped up inside the 25. That's Browner with another stop, but Larry Taylor has become a bigger part of this Montreal offense. Alouettes driving, score tied, headed to the fourth quarter. Quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
You look at the stats, you'd think the Montreal Alouettes had a big lead because they really have won on offense, but the special teams and some turnovers have really favored the Calgary Stampeders, and the reason they've been able to climb back in this game and tie it up.
Yeah, that's 17 points off the 3 Alouette turnovers. Certainly a big part of the game, and as you mentioned, special teams. This is everything we could have wanted for the opener here in Calgary between the 2 Grey Cup finalists.
You know, Jock Climby mentioned it at halftime with the panel down here in Calgary, and he said that don't be surprised to see Calgary's offense start to get going. They had a slow start, and that's, you know, you can imagine they would after spending the whole offseason celebrating their Grey Cup championship, but they're back in it now.
Alouettes trying to get the lead back, and Calvillo looks at the end zone with a flag. Can't hold on. And again, a penalty marker at the 5, and Watkins shaken up on the play. Right in that corner where the turf ends. And quickly down to attend to him, the Alouette training staff.
Major foul, face mask, Calgary, number 27. Result of the penalty, it's automatic.
There's that matchup, Browner and Watkins.
Sure is. And Brandon Browner called on the penalty on the face mask. He's got away with a couple. He's very physical when he plays man-to-man. Up on the top of your screen. And he's the inside player. Now, he ends up getting caught here on Ronnie Amati. The face mask was on Browner on the other receiver down flat. And there's
Ben Cahoon.
On Ben Cahoon. And Amani catches up to Watkins.
So Watkins remains down. Browner even over to check on his adversary.
Hard to see what happened to Kerry Watkins as he went down in the end zone there. It looked like he might have just maybe hit his head hard on the turf. They're kind of just
key weapon for Mark Trestman. And while he gets attention, we're going to step out in this tie game, early fourth quarter. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939. So Kerry Watkins getting checked out.
Oh, maybe got poked in the eye. Checking out his vision, he covered one side and then the other.
Browner penalty gives Montreal a first down at the Calgary 11-yard line. Slung to the sidelines and caught. And there's Eric Delorier in his first catch of the year. Just a dozen grabs all of last season.
Makes a substitution with Kerry Watkins going to the sideline. He has to go out for 3 plays. But the Brandon Browner face mask on Ben Cahoon has extended this series for the Montreal Alouettes.
So this will be the 11th play of the drive. It'll be 2nd and 5 after the Delorier catch. 6 receivers set quickly to the end zone and almost picked by Dwight Anderson, who had an interception in the Grey Cup game. And some miscommunication between Calvillo and receiver.
Yeah, and I think it was Brian Bratton who Anthony Calvillo thought was going to run the out pattern. Sometimes you'll give your receiver the option, and they'll see and try and be on the same page as to where Dwight Anderson will line up. But clearly Anthony Calvillo thought that Brian Bratton was breaking to the out. He curled in number 85. Dwight Anderson had a free crack at that one.
And one theme that prevailed in the Grey Cup game last year is maybe haunting Montreal at this point as Duval looks to regain the lead. And does. But Montreal didn't finish drives last year in the Grey Cup game, and now that's 5 field goals for Duval on the night. Well, we got a couple of new coaches on the sidelines. There is the running back coach for the Calgary Stampeders, Dave Dickinson. And on the other side, and up in the booth, the receivers coach, the man on your left, the former quarterback in Montreal, Toronto, Hamilton, Marcus Brady. And it's good to see those prominent former CFLers making the transition to the sidelines.
As both head coaches, Mark Tressman and John Huffnagel, what they thought about former players and first-year head coaches, and Marcus Brady and Dave Dickinson both couldn't say enough about them, that they would be great head coaches one day in the league. Already they feel that. And of course, you know, Dave Dickinson, yes, he's the running back coach, but you know he's going to be a big part of designing the offense.
George Cortez joked with us yesterday. He said last year I asked Dave to come up with plays in our breakdowns, and he'd come up with 60 passing plays, no running plays. It's a different story this year now that he's the running back coach. Here's Marcus Howell inside the 10. And Howell finds a little room, then gets dropped from behind at the 29. Well, Henry Burris got Calgary back to even, and now he's got to play catch up one more time.
But that offense is starting to get on track. It wasn't in the first quarter. Started to halfway through the second. He now has 126 yards passing, has the 1 touchdown, and avoided the error. Avoided the interception. George Cortez, the offensive coordinator, his 3rd year with Burris in Calgary.
One edge for Calgary now. They would have been working into a stiff breeze early in the game. The wind has died, and that little dump pass for the fullback Rob Cote is incomplete.
Disrupted by Anwar Stewart, I believe, and it was Stewart that caused the problems on Henry Burris, and not by making contact with Burris, by just being in the throwing lane. He's right down the bottom of your screen here. Anwar Stewart's going to step up, and he's careful not to make the commitment too far to the run, stays outside in the throwing lane, and Burris has to adjust that angle and misses Cote.
So it's 2nd and 10. Blitz coming. Burris in trouble. And drop. John Bowman gets to Burris. And there's the first sack of the night.
Well, you could see the Montreal Alouettes lined up on the line of scrimmage, and they were bringing everybody right across there. Bowman right at the top of your screen right here. He comes off the edge, but he has a guy outside him that's going to be a blitzer, shows up late. There he is right there. It was the safety, Matthew Prue. So he eats up the block and allows John Bowman to get to the quarterback.
So loss of 8 on the play. And a big defensive play for the Alouettes. They should get the ball back in good field position. Burkdale launches that, and Taylor from his 41. Trying to turn the corner, does, across midfield. Larry Taylor really started to make an impact late last year, and he has again tonight. 3-point Alouette lead. Let's join Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, Chris. Here with Stampeders president Scott Ackles. Scott, obviously it's an exciting year with Calgary hosting the Grey Cup. Can you talk a little bit about the ticket sales?
Ticket sales have been outstanding. In fact, we've only got a few thousand tickets left, 3,000 tickets left for the big game, 150 days away, so we anticipate it's going to sell out fairly quickly.
Stampeders have had something special going on for a few years now, but has it been boosted locally with the local season ticket sales as well?
Oh, it's been outstanding, Jermaine. Since the last season's championship win, we've increased our season ticket base by 27%. We're at 30,000 paid season ticket holders, and certainly we had a sellout crowd tonight. So you know what? It's a great way to start the season. We're really excited about the 2009 season, and of course, hosting at the end of this year.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thanks, Jermaine.
Forecasting the fastest sellout in Grey Cup history. And will these two teams meet again November 29th? Avon Coburn ran into Justin Brown, but An extra effort by Coburn gets a first down for the Alouettes.
Well, last time a team repeated as Grey Cup champion was the Argos back in 96-97. 4 teams have done it. And the last team to win a Grey Cup championship at home was the BC Lions in 1994. Only 3 teams able to win a Grey Cup championship at home. It puts a lot more pressure on you, and it also is added to it for John Huffnagel's squad is that they're former champions with that bullseye right on their chest.
First and 10 inside the 35. And Calvillo again takes off. Dwayne Carpenter there. And AC brought down after a pickup of about 5. You know, very few teams have done it. The 77 Owls, another team that did it. But when we talked to Ben Cahoon, he was so frustrated. I mean, they've tried to bury it, but he admitted to us yesterday that it was such a unique opportunity for Montreal. They squandered last year. Home field advantage at the Olympic Stadium, and they didn't get it done.
Yeah, he said sometimes playing at Olympic Stadium, it was just so loud, there was really not an advantage, but in the Grey Cup, there certainly was. It was an educated crowd. They cheered at the right times and didn't take advantage.
There's a look into Larry Taylor in traffic, and the ball falls incomplete.
How about the read by Shannon James, last year's leading tackler for the Calgary Stampeders? Boy, he read that one in a hurry.
Yeah, that was a dangerous play. And again, the field goal unit has to come on.
He's going to be to the left of your screen. Again, quick passing game for Anthony Calvillo, but he gets underneath the block and is there to disrupt the play.
So Duval comes back to attempt his 6th of the night. This from 37 yards out. Sixth of the night makes it a 6-point lead. 33-27 with 10 minutes left. And speaking of horsepower,
quick 6. The Calgary Stampeders need quick 6 to do another lap. Karen Drake.
Montreal leads, and Damon Duval with a quick 6 field goals for the start of his season. And Titus Ryan. Dangerous tonight. Guzman slows him up. He's brought down at the 20. A long field for Henry Burris. And it's been a long night for the Calgary offense that usually a lot more productive than we have seen this evening.
Yeah, Henry Burris does not have Kenyon Rambo, his leading receiver and the #1 receiver in the CFL last year. That's been Titus Ryan, but that is a low. When you think of last year, their low was Labor Day, just under 300 yards, and at 164, that's a low in quite some time for the Calgary Stampeders.
Leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, Joffrey Reynolds has 17. They fake to Reynolds, and Cote out of the backfield, breaks the tackle, and will get a first down. The Cochran kid, who John Huffnagel said is 50% better this season at camp than he was last year, with a pivotal early first down in this drive.
And you remember a moment ago how Henry Burris got in trouble when Anwar Stewart got in his throwing lane on this very same pass. You see Burris just get a better angle there, so he has an open throwing lane, and there's the difference. The play is successful, and Cote picks up the first down.
11 on the first down. Another play fake to Reynolds, and the crosser, McLewis, across midfield and pushed out at the 45. But Calgary bench erupting for a late hit. But it's a 35-yard gain for Lewis and no flag on the play.
Well, short crossing route for Nick Lewis from the right side of the formation all the way across to the offensive left side. Burris with some play action, and then it's a real high percentage throw. Nick Lewis picks up the extra yards after the catch and is looking for his 6th consecutive 1,000-yard season in 2009. The only Calgary Stampeder to get 5 straight.
The man who said
10-12.
Stampeders of last year, the best CFL team ever. Barely hadn't heard of the Edmonton Eskimos. of the 5-year dynasty. There's a catch for Jermaine Copeland.
Or the 89 Riders. He hadn't heard about that team either.
Apparently not.
Actually, we were a 500 team. We got on a roll at the right time.
Yeah, you're good when it counted.
But you know what? Nick Lewis has got a lot to be proud of. He battled some injuries late in the season last year, played through them to be a big contributing factor to this offense throughout the playoffs, the West Final, and the Grey Cup game. Another 1,000-yard season.
And on second and short, a plunge ahead. We can kid with Nick. He's always entertaining. And did anybody relish it more on Grey Cup Day than Nick Lewis?
It's the very same play you just saw from Nick Lewis. He picked up a little more yards tonight than on that particular one. But he had a good Grey Cup game. Go-to guy for Henry Burris. 11 catches in total for Nick Lewis. And, you know, he may be the best blocking receiver in Canadian football. When the team wants to run, when Calgary wants to run the football to Joffrey Reynolds, and you're a defensive end playing against Calgary, watch out for 82. He is fearless when it comes to receivers blocking.
First down, Calgary. So they're on the march again. How devastating a game would this be for the Alouettes if they don't win? They didn't beat Calgary last year. They were revved up to stop that streak here tonight. They led by 20. They lead by 6. Would it be damaging for the psyche of this team if they can't hold on? First down, Stamps. There's a completion. And a few yards as Davis Sanchez makes the stop on Joffrey Reynolds.
That goes twofold, really, Chris, because you're right. Will this work against the Montreal Alouettes and be on the back of their mind that they just simply are snake-bitten against the Calgary Stampeders if the Stamps can come back? On the other side of that coin, the Stampeders have got to feel confident, even though they're behind. They have had the number of the Alouettes. They did all last year, and they got to feel confident they can come back again.
Second and less than a yard. A free play, perhaps, and wide open Bedrock. A first down, cuts it back. And he's dropped near the 12. 13 for Brett Ralph. And suddenly this offense is starting to hit on all cylinders.
That's how Henry Burris is going to turn his back to the side of the play. He comes, first of all, under center, which he doesn't do often in passing downs. There's the play action in the misdirection to Joffrey Reynolds. Turned his back to Brett Ralph and then opens up, and look how wide open he is. Misdirection influenced Chip Cox.
They have not led all night. At the 12, Burris fakes, looks for the corner, and this one is intercepted. There's Mark Castell with a big interception in the end zone to stop a Calgary drive.
How important is containment defensively on a running quarterback? Play action again from Henry Burris, who wants to get outside and get the corner. He wants to come outside of here, and I'm going to show you Anwar Stewart in a second as he steps up. And once again, Anwar Stewart with a big, but look at that angle. See Anwar Stewart correct himself. He gets out there and in front of Henry Burris. That causes problems. He has to throw the ball with too much air on it. Interception, Montreal.
There's that veteran corner coming up with a big play at the right time as the pass intended for Titus Ryan. A couple of receivers for Calgary in the same area.
But Chris, if Henry Burris gets the corner there, that's a touchdown throw without question.
Second turnover of the game by the Stampeders. And that pass delivered low, but brought in by Ben Cahoon.
Little play that Ben Cahoon has made a living off of, really. That just little timing out. And if any receiver, quarterback have had timing, it's been Anthony Calvillo and Ben Cahoon.
Cahoon with 6 catches now on the night and 65 yards. Eric Delorier has gone down as he cramps up.
really expected the slot backs for both these teams, whether it be Jermaine Copeland, Nick Lewis in Calgary, Ben Cahoon, or Jamel Richardson, who hasn't returned. He had that late start to camp because of illness, but hasn't seen the entire field. But the bottom line here is I thought they'd have a big game because of the rookies at halfback and the secondaries for both these teams. But after some, a little bit of probably nerves for the secondary for the Calgary Stampeders, and Ronnie Amati in particular, who was beat early by Kerry Watkins on a deep ball in the first quarter, they've really settled in and started to play better.
Those two pressed into service here in game one because of injuries. Brandon Smith, who is a player that John Hufnagel really missed, going down with a knee injury in the preseason, and J.R. Ruffin also out. So these youngsters have been forced in, and
yeah,
if we were told prior to the game that it'd be 33-27 at this point, we wouldn't have been surprised.
Interesting how we've come to it, though. Thought the Calgary Stampeders would come out and play a little better out of the gate. They didn't, especially offensively. They have regrouped, but a play by Anwar Stewart there may be the difference maker in the comeback bid here tonight for the Stampeders, although there is lots of time left in this game.
1st and 10. And AC rolls, dumps it off, and brought down on the play is Kerry Watkins back in the game after going out on the last Montreal series.
You know, if Montreal can get a drive and eat up some time, that could be the play of the game for the Alouettes. Again, it's Anwar Stewart right here at the top of your screen, and watch how he adjusts his angle to cut off Henry Burris. If Burris gets outside, watch how this receiver on the outside is going to get open. It's Titus Ryan. He ends up getting open late there, right there. It's a touchdown throw without Anwar Stewart.
There's a big defensive play for Calgary, 2nd and 6. Coburn straight ahead and twisting and turning and trying to fight through the tackle of Miguel Robidet, and he'll come up, it looks like about a yard short.
Interesting decision now for Mark Tressman, if they are a yard short.
Robidet, who really finally kick-started his career last year under John Hufnagel and the revamped 4-3 defense in Calgary, the former #1 pick.
Tressman didn't hesitate. The punt team is on the field in a close game like this. He's going to give Henry Burris a long field to work with.
No gamble after a yard and a half away. Big rush. They get to another. That one blocked by Tristan Black. And Calgary has a second punt block in the game. And special teams continue to be a big advantage here for the Stamps.
Tristan Black from the inside, a very similar position that Wes Lysak lined up to block the first one for the Calgary Stampeders, is not picked up by the personal protector. And Damon Duvall has no chance there as Black really basically swallows up the football and his leg. He got there untouched.
17 points off, turnovers of the game, and now we've got somebody coming onto the field late. There was confusion on the Calgary side. Marcus Howell late onto the field, and wisely Calgary takes the timeout. It's costly, but it would have been more costly had they taken an illegal substitution penalty.
You know, when you look at the three phases of football, offense, defense, and special teams, you'd have to say Montreal has one on offense. They have an edge on defense, maybe not as big an edge as the offensive side, but on special teams, they've really lost the battle, and that's one of the only reasons the Calgary Stampeders are in this game. Big special team plays.
Excuse me, 4 turnovers. You saw John Hufnagel, DeMarcus Howell, who again, all training camp was in the secondary, pressed into service here as a receiver. He was on the special teams. A little excitement after the block punt. Not out in that first huddle offensively, and they have to burn the timeout. But now go to work, 1st and 10 from the 23. Fake to Reynolds, pressures on, and Burris has to just dive forward and nearly had the ball stripped.
Karan Williams this time is going to provide the containment and flush Henry Burris back into the middle and back into the pocket. I believe it was John Bowman that's ended up going to get the tackle. But Karan Williams is going to flash to the outside. Here's play action. Karan Williams right there. He pushes and forces Henry Burris back into the middle. Bowman gets a piece of him, and down goes Burris.
Burris able to move ahead for 3. 2nd and 7. Calgary knocking on the door again. There's a catch near the first down stick for Nick Lewis. And well, let's see where they spot the football.
I think he's going to get it. He's going to be very close.
And Nick tells you exactly that. So once again, Calgary knocking at the door, trying to take the lead.
Nick Lewis right here. He gets a good spot as he runs this out route. You can see the marker right up at the top of your screen. That's where he has to get to for the first down. Now, he comes back to the football when he makes his break here. Makes that catch. Look like he's around the 14-yard line. And they mark it up to that 13 and a first down.
First down. Lewis looked like he might have been offside into the end zone. Over the head of Jermaine Copeland with the flag in the backfield. No flag along the line of scrimmage. From our vantage point, looked like Lewis might have been ahead of the play. We'll wait for referee Bud Steen to sort it out.
And Bud Steen's talking to Montreal, which means he's giving Anwar Stewart, the captain of that defense, the options.
Illegal block. Hands to the face. Calgary, number 58. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
That's the right tackle, Antonio Hall. They'll push it back 10.
There he is there. He's working on the outside. He's got some help from Joffrey Reynolds. He's got his hands up in the face mask.
He was
McElveen.
10-12. McElveen took the helmet off Hall. So it's first down again and 20. Calgary still down by 6, and that pass almost intercepted as Joffrey Reynolds wasn't looking and the ball wasn't really near him.
Anwar Stewart, I mentioned, has 8 interceptions in his career, almost added a 9th. As this time from his defensive end position is going to drop, and you're absolutely right, Chris. That ball was intended for Joffrey Reynolds, who turned out. Reynolds is right here. Stewart on the outside is going to actually drop into coverage. Something he's done a lot over the last few years, and surprises Henry Burris and Reynolds. Burris thought that Reynolds would go to the middle, obviously.
So 2nd and 20 from the 22. Pressure. Burris hit as he delivered, and that's a fumble. And it's picked up by Chip Cox. And nobody's going to touch him. Chip Cox to the end zone for a Montreal touchdown that may seal the deal. 80 yards. Will this play be challenged? Henry Burris giving an indication that maybe he thinks he was in a forward motion when hit. And we'll see if this is challenged. Will it overturn an 80-yard fumble returned by Chip Cox?
That was the arm moving forward for Henry Burris. He buys some time stepping up in the pocket, looking downfield.
No, great play by Karan Williams.
And Karan Williams got pushed high on the play and kept battling back. He gets the ball out before the arm starts in that forward motion.
Top defensive player for the Alouettes last year in a cut of the Stampeders. And there's Anwar Stewart in the face of Henry Burris again. And this play will be under review.
There is a new system in place in the Canadian Football League when it comes to The plays that are reviewed, there is a command center now in the head office in Toronto. Jake Ireland is there along with Tom Higgins. And it will now be a command center. This was a preseason game where they were testing the system. They will be able to look at plays from there, make the decision there as to whether or not the play will be overturned or will remain the same on the field, and they can get a jump because they can get the replays.
They can watch the game frame by frame in high definition. And
the replay official confirms the ruling on the field. We have a touchdown.
So Jake Ireland confirms what you saw. And again, they speed up the process, they feel, with that. So the command center confirms the Chip Cox touchdown with the point after to come, and it's suddenly a 13-point Alouette lead.
Similar system to the National Hockey League. I like it. You're right. It speeds things up. Tom Higgins told me anywhere between a minute and 2.5 minutes. That replay process, which is great for the fans, takes a little pressure off the refs at the game sites as well.
And now going for two. Calvillo with a lot of time, and then throws it through the back of the end zone. And it remains a 12-point lead for Montreal.
Let's take one more look at the big play of this football game. Chip Cox scoops up this fumble. Karan Williams, you're absolutely right, Chris, creates the problems for Henry Burris, and it's because he just won't quit. 10 sacks in 2008 for Karan Williams. Really a breakout season for him. Chip Cox scoops it up and takes it the distance for the fumble return for a touchdown, which may seal the deal for the Montreal Alouettes.
Karan Williams with the forced fumble, and once again Anwar Stewart in the face of Henry Burris, and number 9 has had quite a night. Chip Cox moving to a new position, replacing TJ Hill in a much talked about move. Hill leading the Alouettes in tackles, but discarded in the training camp, and replaced by Chip Cox, who may have the game-ensuring touchdown. And Titus Ryan a little casual with this, and he'll concede the single to make it 40-27. That's the second point off kickoffs for the Alouettes on the night.
Now Henry Burris has to work against the pressure of coming from behind, the pressure of the time on the clock at 2:13, and the pressure he's faced from the Montreal defense. And you saw that graphic that shows you that defensive line, again, underrated last year, but really started to come on. Second in the league in total sacks with 43.
So 2:13 to go. Number 35, Copeland unable to bring that in. And while the Alouette front four has been dominant, we should mention there are 2 starters out of that offensive line tonight, and they have had their hands full.
Yeah, you know, Jeff Pilon at tackle is one, and of course Jesse Newman did not play, missed training camp as well, and he was replaced by Godfrey Ellis. But you know, Godfrey Ellis and Antonio Hall are players that have playing time experience.
Second and 10. Flag down.
They got it, they got it.
They jump. Brett Ralph the catch, and he's drilled by Matthew Prue, the native of Plaster Rock, New Brunswick. Looks like offside Montreal is the call, and will be declined. Well, twice the
Offside. Montreal 98. That penalty is declined. It's a first down.
Twice the Stampeders drove inside the Calgary 20, needing a touchdown to take the lead. And they were turned back here in the fourth quarter, an interception, and then the fumble recovery for a touchdown by that Alouette defense. And the costly turnovers that Henry Burris avoided making last year
4 seconds on the
have been
clock.
costly here in the fourth quarter. Clock being reset.
Remind Calgary fans, too, that no Kenyon Rambo in the offense as well.
A guy who had at least 2 catches in every game last year and led the CFL in receiving. And Bud Steen, I think, is ready to get this back underway. And now we tick down under 2 minutes. And Burris over the middle, and Nicholas can't hang on as Matthew Prue in the vicinity once again. Prue, who dislodged Etienne Boulay, man, safety, starting safety for the Alouettes late last year.
He's been in a real battle with Etienne Boulay for that starting spot at safety, but Matthew Prue, interception last year, started to come into his own at the safety position.
2nd and 10. Burris, that play complete, looks similar to the last, and Nick Lewis has another catch.
You take off big chunks like that, the game is far from over. The Canadian Football League, you could score three times, 3 majors inside of 2 minutes. One thing about defensively, you just can't play too soft.
Have to cap this drive, a handoff to Reynolds. And he is stopped at the 36-yard line.
You mentioned whether or not, how it would affect the Montreal Alouettes, the only team that they did not beat last year, the Calgary Stampeders, and I think they're going to hang on here.
Should be an enormous lift if they can finish it off. Burris scrambles away. Every pursuit and a feet-first slide by Burris after gaining the first down at the 26.
I was going to mention it because Calgary Stampeders really did that last year. John Huffnagel talked about it, how they, won on the road when they couldn't win on the road, how they won in certain parks where they couldn't win, and that was one of the reasons they won the championship. And maybe the Alouettes have to do that same thing, beat a team they haven't beat.
Trying to get over a big obstacle here, that toss, and some heavy contact there, and Mark Estelle in tight coverage.
And we talked about the guys that are out of the lineup for the Calgary Stampeders, but take nothing away from the Alouettes. The way they came out in the first quarter, they dominated the first quarter of play. They have won in 2 of the 3 phases by far, offensively and defensively, have been better football team in this game tonight. And really, if not for some plays on the special teams and a couple of turnovers, this is probably a blowout against the Calgary Stampeder champions.
2nd and 10. Look in, and Titus Ryan couldn't bring it in. The pass delivered a little behind him. And so Calgary down to potentially their last down of the game. John Huffnagel's crew, 7-2 on home turf here last year. Neither team got off to a terrific start. Montreal was 2-3 after 5 weeks. And at Labor Day, Calgary was 5-4, but they won 10 of 11, including the last 6. So a 6-game win streak on the line right here. 3rd and 10. And Burris's pass is incomplete, and it's a turnover on downs, and the Alouettes are going to win on opening night in the West, in Calgary, and beat the Stamps for the first time in the last 4 starts.
Yeah, the first loss for the Calgary Stampeders since October 3rd, 2008 against Saskatchewan. They have been on a roll, as you mentioned, winning their last 6 straight, and we have to get back to that intensity level out of the gate that made him so productive in the second half of that season. But full credit to the Alouettes, who for the first time in a year now win in the West on the road.
61 seconds left on the clock. Calvillo hands it off, and Coburn churns. Tonight's game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Huge start for the offense for the Alouettes. Anthony Calvillo hit Kerry Watkins on a deep ball to get them going in the first major. 20 points total. The special teams kept Calgary in it, and a couple of turnovers helped. Damon Duvall was perfect.
Stamps lived and died on turnovers tonight. They got back in it, 17 points, but again, the interception and the fumble here in the fourth quarter deep in Montreal territory have sealed the deal. Alouettes go home. They'll meet Edmonton next week in their home opener, while the Stampeders go to Winnipeg. And Coburn with 4 and a first down.
And we head to Regina.
Looking forward to that.
For the first Friday night game.
Avon Coburn with the last 2 runs. Over 100 on the night, 19 carries, 106 yards. 7 100-yard games last year. And now they'll go into that prevent mode to make sure no mistakes are made here in the dying seconds. And one more knee will do it. So Coburn, who had a touchdown in last year's Grey Cup game, starts his season in impressive fashion. Multifaceted offense. We saw
look good, look real good tonight.
The most of it came in the first quarter, and they really rode that 20-point lead. One more knee and some sweet revenge here for the Alouettes, who crossed some hurdles tonight. They win in the West. They beat Calgary, and they're 1-0 to start 2009 as the defending Grey Cup champions. Find out it's going to be a little tougher in 09. The final 40-27. So long from McMahon Sports Center is next.